All right. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another edition of New Covenant Community Connect Live Show. This is our opportunity to bring to our communities all the different professional people and things that help us in our lives. And today we have a wonderful guest with us that I've known her actually all of her entire life. And we have Me'Ara Hussey, and we're going to be sharing about childcare today. But before we start that, we want you to share, share, share this with other people who will be interested, and we are sure you will get something beneficial out of this. Well, welcome, Me'Ara. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good. Tell everybody your actual God-given name. I love this.
Me'Ara Bernadette Faith Hussey.
Now, did you hear her say, Me'Ara, Bernadette, underline, underline, circle, star? That's because she's named after her grandmother, and that would be me. All right. That's why I said I've known her absolutely all of her life, and she has been the joy of our lives. And she doesn't get to tell you, she is our first grandchild. All right.
Yes.
So Me'Ara has gone into the child care industry, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that. Me'Ara, tell our audience, how did you come about a passion for childcare?
I think I've always been drawn to children in a way, even when I try to drift away and do other things. It's like I've always been drawn to children. I think what really helped me want to pursue the career into doing it is it became so natural that it was you can't really ignore that, like it
Okay.
was. I used to always wonder what gifts was I born with. I feel like everybody was around and born with a talent. They could sing, dance, rap, cook. And I was like, I didn't have anything, but I always had the magic touch with children. And I think everybody don't have that touch. Everybody can't watch more than one child. And once I realized that that was my gift and I feel like my calling, then I put my all into it and it's magically grown to so much more than what I could have even imagined.
Wow. So, childcare, how does childcare differ from babysitting?
Babysitting, um, if you ask the common parent, it doesn't. We are all glorified babysitters at the end of the day. um, but babysitting, people usually have it as, can you watch my kid for a few hours? I have to go to the store. I don't really care what you do with my kid. Just keep them safe until I come back. Childcare is it's more structure. It's more of a planned out day. It's more of making sure your child is fed at certain times throughout the day, not just handing out fruit snacks and saying, if they've eaten. It's making sure that they have, like I said, structure, discipline, the core beliefs of their learning, all being developmentally, handled.
Hmm. So the things you just named, so child care actually has different parts to it. You
Yes.
have the watching the child, you got feeding the child, you got, if they're there long enough, making sure they get a nap or some kind of rest. Is that correct?
Yes.
You got educating the child. Oh my goodness, that's some different parts right there. Now, what year did you actually get certified in this area?
Uh, 2021.
Okay, 2021. And where did that certification come from?
I got my CDA. It came from, I forgot what's the name of it, Michigan's something. My
State,
apologies.
state of Michigan.
Yes.
State of Michigan. Wonderful. Just want the audience to know that you are qualified in this area that you are working in. Now, what would be the difference other than all of this responsibility when you were serving for other daycare centers or working for somebody else than the child care center that you have started yourself?
The major difference, working for somebody else. I think it's so much more freer when you have your own, because
Mm,
you know what your heart is, you know what you can handle, you know what your philosophy is of your center, what you stand for, what you believe in, what you do and don't agree with. Versus working for somebody else, you kind of gotta, it's tough. If you see a child dealing with something, you have to make sure that your boss is okay with the way you intervene and step in with the parents and how
mm,
the children, all these other things, when it's just like my heart desired to do this for this family just like this, but now I have to go
right.
third party, and it's just, it's so much better when it's yours.
Okay. Now, Me'Ara, are you allowed to pray for the children at your child care center?
Yes, I put it in my contract.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. That is so good. So you are dealing with the child and you're dealing with the parents. Do
Yes.
you find it uncomfortable in any way to deal with the parents, or is that a part that you welcome?
I think back in 2010, the parents
Okay.
are amazing.
Oh, what happened?
um, Gentle parenting.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
I think what happened is life. I think there are a lot more exhausted parents. I think there are a lot more parents who are going through more divorces than they were back then. There are a lot more kids being diagnosed with things now that parents are not having the tools to handle and just expecting you to pick up the pieces and handle. Like I said, there are a lot more exhausted parents. So when you're at home, or when you're at the center and you're working with the kids, you fixed them up, you got them to the schedule, they're potty training right, and then they go home for the weekend, come back Monday, and it's like, well, what happened? So I think it's just really life, and you just have to be more compassionate. With that comes, and you have to be more standing on business, because there are a lot of parents who like to make, like I said, we're all glorified babysitters to them. So
Mm,
they don't understand when you're trying to really educate them about their child on certain things and don't let you have no child of your own. Then you absolutely know nothing. So
wow.
that's where I feel like the difference comes in now. I think there's just a lot more just lax when it comes to the parents, when it comes to helping, I would say. When it comes to
Okay.
helping, making sure everything is copacetic the whole way through.
Okay. Have you, Me'Ara, ever had to deal with a child in the last years you've been in childcare that is what is labeled as hyper or ADHD, ADDD? I don't know all the letters.
The alphabet, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right. So you said some of the parents don't welcome your advice because they think you don't know, or they're too tired to try one more thing.
I think it's a little bit of both. You have some parents that are not educated. So when somebody hits their kid with the label, it's immediately, my child doesn't have that, those things like that. And while understandable, some kids are mislabeled. There are some who need help, early on help, and it's okay to admit you need help early on. Um, so with that, I think it's a lot of things that come into that. And
Oh.
time, funding. Some parents don't have,
Mm,
DHS doesn't help every parent. Just because you have a baby doesn't mean DHS says, I will help you with this. So a lot of it comes down to funding as well.
okay. Wonderful. What would you say, Me'Ara, makes for a safe environment in a child care setting?
Peace. There needs to be definitely a lot of peace around. I've learned with the years that I've done, I play a lot of meditation music, and I've noticed
Mm,
that a lot of the kids who come in my room, after, like when I worked in the child care center, I had the most peaceful room, and I had all infants. And people used to always come and say, I would think your room would be the most hectic because you have all babies. Um,
Mm.
but peace is very important. I'm a low lights teacher. I love low lights, and that made a huge difference as well. You never know how much lights bother people. And
Oh, wow. Explain that.
um, I was doing one of my trainings, and lighting. Some people are very sensitive to light, and especially when they're at that age, they can't say I'm sensitive to light. You know, you just kind of gotta fill it out. But I've noticed with me, I've had like low lights and music playing at all times. There's also been a study that you learn better with music or something playing in the background too. Some people, of course, some people,
Wow.
I'm not one. I need some type of something in the background for me to really understand what I am taking in. And I've noticed for a lot of kids who've had the ADHD and those things, when they are sent to my room for disciplinary, um, they are automatically, when they came in my space, it was different. You know, it
Mm.
wasn't all of the outside noise in the way they come in. And when there's a peaceful environment, you can now control the narrative a lot better than trying to have to look at me. You're able
Okay.
to get the child to listen to you and understand you a lot better, and even just breathe. Sometimes it's just a breather. A lot of people forget that kids are still human, and
Okay.
being overstimulated is it's a lot.
Okay. Mm. Wow. When we started out this session, Me'Ara, you said you were always searching for your gifts and you didn't think your gift was singing or dancing. I know firsthand Me'Ara does sing well. And also, Me'Ara is one of the absolute best dancers naturally that I've ever seen in my life. And I mean that. Oh, hello, Coach Leah R. Elijah. That's your mom. She's here supporting. Praise God. And so, what do you do to entertain the children? Do you have dance time, singing time? Do you do any of that in your child care center?
Yes, we have dance parties at least 15 times a day. Um,
Wow.
Honestly, all of the kids love dancing. As you said, it does come naturally. I play music and I just start dancing, and it's a lot of these kids just jump in and they just be around there dancing with me too. We have that. We just random sing. I have instruments that I have for the kids, and we'll make up songs about whatever. I make it.
Oh,
So
wow.
we do all that and outside.
Oh, you get to take them outside. Oh, that's so important.
Yes, for
So
me, kids
important
too, but for me.
for everybody. Wonderful. All right. So when the parents bring their children to you, do they need to tell you what the child could possibly be allergic to as far as they know?
Yes, it's in my contract. They have to put everything that's in there, that the kid might be allergic to, and things that they haven't tried. I personally put for infants, for parents to put things they haven't tried. I don't want to be the first one to introduce little JJ to peanut butter if you haven't done that yet. So
Okay.
I would rather you do that at home. So if he needs to go to the hospital, you can get him there faster.
I know that's right. I know that's right. Wow. So, Me'Ara, what is your dream, your future dream for childcare if money was no object, time was no object, and space was no object? What what have you dreamed that you would really love to do with childcare?
I would like to build an actual like huge center that looks like a hospital, but it
Oh,
would like one wing would be for postpartum moms, moms who don't necessarily trust their baby being away from them but need a break. So they would be able to go in and check in there, get a nap
wow.
in while their baby is still being tended to them. Then I would have a daycare section that's for regular daycares, people who are just like, I'm cool with daycare, send them on. And then I would have a place for people to drop their children off. Lately in the news, I've been seeing a lot of parents who just leave their kids, go out of town. Kids are being left home
Oh
for
my.
days. And I would want to, if you're going to be negligent, bring them to a safe place, at least where I know they're cared for and loved. It's just so many things that, even your kid who you feel like is not old enough, you don't have family, you didn't take a vacation in 3 years, you need one. Where's a safe place I can have my children go for a weekend that, you can still watch with cameras? They'll be able to look in and view, know your people. And
Oh, wow.
so I would build a place that's a 3-wing place for that. That's my dream for that.
Mm. Wow. So we would be looking at 24-hour care,
Yes.
and you'd be looking at a staff.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful dream. Oh, and I'm believing with you that this actually comes to pass. Wonderful.
Thank you.
So how many shifts do you presently work?
Oh Lord. I know I did it backwards. I went from when you get your own business, just make your own hours. I done gave myself the longest hours known to man.
Oh my.
I do a 6 to 5, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay, from where I sit, that looks like 11 to 12 hours.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, do you stipulate the sex of the child, the race of the child? Are there particular children you take, or you don't have any stipulations?
I don't have any stipulations. Preferably no Karen mothers, but other than that, no.
No, what kind?
No Karen moms.
Oh, Karen. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Now, do you still presently have a little kitty and a puppy?
2 dogs and a kitty.
Okay. How do the children like coming into a ready-made uh pet place?
Um, they chase my cat around. That's
Oh no.
so when they see her, they're like Kitty, and she's literally chasing around the whole house. I think she likes it low key because when I put her away, she just comes back out. She wants to run. As far as dogs, because they're still puppies,
Uh-huh.
yeah, they're all toys.
Oh my goodness. I imagine some of the children get so used to them, they can't wait to come see them.
Well, the beautiful thing is so many kids have pets now. Literally, all of my kids at the moment have their own pets. So
Okay. Okay.
they they have taken to all my animals just fine.
Wonderful. Is there a ceiling on the age of child that you would take for childcare? With the summer coming up, I'm wondering this.
Um, yes and no. For
Okay.
me at the moment, I've built such a solid foundation with all of my parents I have at the moment that if their kid that I have now, like say their kid reached 6 years old, my heart wouldn't just be able to say find somewhere else because they helped me start where I am now. Um, but yes, I will eventually be getting a cap, which would be 5 and under.
Oh, 5 and under.
Yes.
Okay. So in the summer, will you be doing anything differently when the kids are out of school?
Um, because I do 5 and under, most of my kids are all preschool, so they're really going to like 8 to 12. So it wouldn't really be any different than what we do now, just outside more often.
Okay. All right. Do you have an opening for more children? Does it change? Do you go up and down? Is there opening for more? Or are you cut off with who you can take in?
I have a set max number of kids that I know that I can handle.
Uh-huh.
And I do not exceed that. As of right now, I have 2 openings left. Um, but yes, once I reach my max, then that is set, and all my parents know, which is why they sign a contract to state because I am not a drop-in babysitter. Once you
Okay.
sign your kid up, your kid is up because I have my max number of kids. So if you fail to pay or show up, that is grounds for termination and room for another kid to be able to come in.
Oh, wow. So this is in Muskegon, Michigan, everybody. If you're sitting here in South Carolina, say, I'm going to run my child over there. Sorry. So you see in the future expanding to more people to help you with Me'Ara, help you with the children?
Yes, in the like 5 year future.
Okay. The 5-year plan.
Yeah, right now I'm really enjoying by myself. Um,
Good.
I'm enjoying bonding with the kids, and I know my heart. And I just it's so scary to take a chance on somebody else, because just because you like kids don't mean you're gonna like them every day. So you gotta have
Oh, so true.
then other than I like kids, because and often you don't know that somebody doesn't have a passion until they've done something that's like what. And right now, like I said, I just know my heart, I know my beliefs, I know my plans, my goals with the parents and the kids. And
Right,
I want to build my solid foundation first before I
right,
start to welcome in others.
right. You know, me knowing this, Me'Ara and her husband, but Me'Ara is one of those people who has wanted to give birth to her own child for so many years. So she is still waiting for that. And this, along with some friends that I've had and a woman that I grew up with, who we thought she was like a grandmother to us, but she never had her own children. So she and her husband adopted a boy and a girl, but never had her own children. And so I'm hoping that people don't judge someone who's never had their own child as a person who you could not know, you could not understand, and you could not care like I do. Absolutely not true. Absolutely not true. I just wanted to say that for you right there. Me'Ara, are you ever real tired at the end of a day and thinking, Lord, you have to help me with my strength? I just don't know today.
Every day.
I appreciate the honesty. Amen.
Every day.
That's when it's
It's
good to know how to pray and good to have a husband who will understand you are tired.
yes, and need a minute to talk. I've been Google Gaga all day. I can't
Uh-huh.
say words for a minute, boo. Give me a minute. Yeah.
Wonderful. So every day you have that point, and then tomorrow you get up and come in and do it all over again. That's
Yeah.
commitment.
It's a
That's dedication.
yes, it's a joy. It really is, because every day it brings a new day. Kids are funny. Like you have
Yes.
to know how to laugh when working with kids. They say the darndest things. They do the darndest things. It's it's just, even though it's overwhelming at the end of the day, it's only overwhelming because you're trying to genuinely give everybody the same undivided love and attention,
Mm,
grace, patience.
right.
Not because kids are bad, not because
Right.
it's mouthy. It's because, and then you're also mentally always trying to think, how can I make tomorrow better? What can
Mhm.
I do? If you notice something that a child's going through at home, now you've mentally exhausted yourself on how can I help this parent or child. It's so much that go into play of the exhaustions, because you want to help the world, and
Mhm.
it's so important, even when the kids come in, they greet me
Right.
with such big smiles and love.
Oh,
I could be crying and they make it all better. So, it makes it worth it for me.
you know, the ages that you have, we were in the childcare business. We were childcare owners. Our childcare center there in Michigan got up to 3 shifts actually, and we had a total of over 40 children. And we had a staff and all of that. But one of the things I remember about these young ages, and I know from having grandchildren, when you have more than one, this got his arms up saying, pick me up. That's the pick me up sign in all languages. Okay. Pick me up, pick me up. Uh, what do you do when you got more than one with his arms up saying, pick me up?
Okay, well, I'm not the best to advocate for this because I spoil. I pick them up. If I can pick them up, to. Oftentimes the parents laugh when they come and I have two babies on my hip, and they're like, "I carry both of them," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool." Arms sleep, but it's fine. Or
Mm.
if it's like that, I just sit on the floor and they all pile on me. So
Oh,
we do that.
wow. There's two little children when Me'Ara lived here in South Carolina. There's two little children, started out with one, a lady that she was working with. They became the best of friends. And this little girl, Me'Ara would carry her around in the car seat. I mean, she was a teeny tiny little girl. And then her little sister comes along, and there's both of them. But people thought they were Me'Ara's children. She had them with her at church. She had them all the time, and they became a part of Me'Ara's mom. godparents, they became a part of us. We're God grandparents. Everybody at the church knows them, love them, miss them. And so we got to see firsthand. And this was nothing that was for pay. This was love, it was compassion, and it was friendship. And we got to see her hauling two around at one time. So I've seen you do that. I've seen the love and seen the compassion. It's just wonderful to watch when somebody doesn't have to do that. So, Me'Ara, you said it's in your contract. Now, here is one thing that we learned firsthand from being in the child care industry part of it. Sometimes things happen to people where they cannot pay. And also, some things happen to people where they will not pay.
Mhm.
Okay. Sometimes a big party is coming up. They want to go out of town. And so they said, well, I know so and so, they care about my children. I'll be able to just stop paying. And so is that hard, even though it's in your contract, to get to that point where someone has to be told, we can't continue this way?
No. No. Mm-mm.
Me'Ara said, I would love to be able to tell you yes, but I just can't. I love them, but I just can't be doing this for
What
free.
I offer in my contract, I state what I do, but there's so much more that I do for your child that is not even required. And people do try to make childcare the last bill. They come in, hair done, lashes done, nails done, and then say, I have $50. Can I give you the rest next week? And you're like, well, I guess you give the other half of your child next week too then, huh? But no, it's not tough because one thing I've learned early on, even working at a center, is if you don't stand your ground the first time, it
Yes. Oh my, it will keep happening.
gets
And
yeah.
see, Me'Ara, what I didn't know how to do, because I was the final say, we had plenty staff, other people working, but I was the final say when somebody kept coming and doing that. And one person was into us to the tune, owed our daycare center over $4,000. And oh, I wish I had said, I'm sorry. And it just turned into a big issue because the person felt like, you're a Christian, you're a pastor, you're supposed to do this. But you know what? I've been working on it. Your grandfather's been helping me work on learning how to say I'm sorry, learning how to say no. But it seems like at a young age, you've already got that part.
Yeah. What also, because I was a manager at the center I worked at too, so I did get the nickname the principal for a while.
Uh-oh.
I think what also helps with that is if they don't want to pay, they can just leave and it is really out of your hands. You could take them to small claims court, but they will literally rack their bills up because they know that you could just probably put it on their credit and they're going to go to another daycare and start over. So
Okay.
it's just so much into that I don't even want you to get that high because I know, or they try to tell you tax time, I'll pay you. And then, yeah, no, I need that now.
Yeah, because tax time, then you're going to be looking at a beautiful looking little car you need to get. You're going to be looking at other things you need to get. You need a new TV, you need a new phone. So no.
And it's harder to pay $2,000 than 400. So if it became down to find a new daycare or pay me, you're gonna find a new daycare.
Wow. Mm-mm-mm. This is great. And so what have you experienced? I'm always interested in the spiritual aspect. What have you noticed being free to pray for the children? Do you pray for them or pray with them?
Um, I guess kind of a little bit of both because we pray at food when we get ready to eat. So we do grace for our food.
Okay.
Of course, I pray over the children.
Okay. Wonderful. So have you noticed anything, any signs from the children where this has helped them or the parents?
Um, I don't know if feeling more comfortable is a sign. But all of the kids who have started in my home now feel like this is a second home. It's
Wow.
a total different way of the way they enter my home than they did even at the daycare because most of my kids came from the daycare that I used to work at. So it's when they were shutting down, I had parents cry and did not.
Oh my.
So it wasn't even the center, it was me. And so when I see the kids, how they treat my house like a second home, even versus the center, well, I know that's, of course, my, God's coming through me, of course,
Right,
I'm
right.
freer, I'm able to be me. And I think that's definitely helped out a lot.
Okay. Mm, wow. Now, if you are you all ever allowed to take the children if you have a field trip day? Are you allowed to take them from your home to somewhere else?
If I have the parents sign a contract, not
Okay.
official slip stating.
Okay. Okay. And another thing that I know from past experience, I just don't know how it is now or how it is in Michigan. Um, if one parent signs a contract and brings a child, and there's a divorce or another parent involved, who can pick the child up from your house?
If it is a custody dispute, I will need to see custody papers. You would have to
Oh,
bring it from the court telling me that you have full custody. I legally cannot keep a child from their father because you're mad.
right. Okay, right.
Yes. So, and I've actually had it happen already to me before. I had a mom drop her baby off on my doorstep and block my phone number, and
Oh
told
my
me
God.
that her father can't pick her up. So she literally just left her at my house to be there. I had no way to reach her. Dad was banging on my door, and I said, Mom pays for daycare. She's the one who dropped her off, and I had to call the police and let the police make a decision. I said, I
Oh my God.
give it to you, and who you see fit is what happens. And when Mom finally unblocked me, I let her know that, the police handled that situation and that I had to terminate.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. If you're in our chat right now, we want to welcome you. We see we got 9 people viewing at one time, 9 online right now that can. Please send us some hearts, send us some balloons, send Me'Ara some salutes, whatever you want. This is a great interview so far, and we are so glad to have you here with us. This is going to be live up until this interview is done. After that, it's going to be edited a little bit, and our director, Sister Angelique, is going to what we call zhuzh it up a little bit, and then
Appreciate
you
you.
will, then you will be able to send this anywhere to anybody, post it on your uh, social media, anywhere and everywhere. We thank God. We are all a bunch of families. We're all a bunch of communities. I love this statement. I always have. It takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
And this child care center, child care centers, child care, they're all a part of the village.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to think, if a parent works all day long, the waking hours of the child, they are with the child care director, they are with the child care center, these other children actually more than they're with the parent,
Yeah.
right? So they're all helping us raise the child and having them in a good place where you trust them, where you see the progress and improvement. And look, somebody helping to potty train your child, come on now. That is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Great, great. Me'Ara, do you have some things that you want to share with us? Esther, your great Aunt Esther is in there. She said, Amen, good word. Praise God. And she worked in the school system there in Georgia for years. These are all your mom has worked with children forever. Sister Angelique has worked at 3 or 4 child care centers. So your whole child care team, your group, they're all really
Right.
working there. Right. And so is it where can you send somebody else, say you tell the child care center, my neighbor from across the street is going to pick up the child today? How does that work?
if if the neighbor says somebody's going to pick up the child, if they're not on the release form, then nobody can get the child. If they're
It's
not,
not going to
they
happen.
can't show
Okay.
their ID, then they can't come get the child. I don't care who it is.
Yes. I became very interested in that because I did not know until we did childcare if somebody is not said that they can pick up the child by the parent and agreed by the child care center, this is kidnap. I
Yeah.
don't care if it's the aunts, the uncles, anybody else. And then what if nobody knows who picked up the child, but they said you knew,
Mm-hmm.
and the child is then gone 2 days, a week? Do you know who becomes responsible for that?
Us.
See? Oh my goodness. So that seems like, well, you know them. You've seen them with them before. But you've got to make yourself do the things that are right instead of what you think you want to do.
Yeah.
This becomes legal. This could turn into a really big mess, right? You got them in the chat talking, right? No release form, no pickup. They said,
Yeah.
period.
That also comes into play because you also have parents who, when they divorce, have 1,300 different girlfriend or boyfriends.
Oh
And,
my God.
they, this week, John is coming next week, Sally's coming, and then this parent didn't approve of that parent's girlfriend picking up my child. And that's another reason why only parents can put on there who approves and take off. I can't add. You can't call up there and say, "Hey, my sister is coming. She's have an ID." No, you need to come in person. Write your sister's name down. Add the number. Tell her she needs to bring in her ID. If she doesn't have that beforehand, your sister will be waiting outside until you come.
Wow. Down the line, I'm looking at Me'Ara. I applaud you because you're so young, starting your own child care, but in some ways so mature. I'm so happy for you. But Me'Ara, I'm looking at 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when the children that you've been caring for in daycare centers and your own daycare center, they will be saying, there is my this, there is my that. And they will be applauding you way down the road for being in their life. And all of the applause for this kind of work, working with children 40 something years in a way, kind of, all of the applause does not come right away. Even being paid, the applause and all the little things you've done. But I promise you, God is saluting you. And down the road, you cannot imagine all the people that are going to thank you. They're going to see you as their second mom, some of them.
Uh, for a lot of them.
Wow.
I'm daycare mom.
Wow.
A lot of the parents, even because, like you said, they're here with me most of the day. If a mom
Yes.
has a 12-hour shift to pay bills, they're leaving from me 5 o'clock. You want to have your kid fed and in bed by 8:30. That's 3 hours you have maybe to interact with your child, learn about their day, get you some peace and quiet before you now have to go to bed and then start your day all over again. So, yeah,
Okay.
it's almost like real motherhood. It's a thankless job.
Yep. Yes. Wow. So, Me'Ara, you're working primarily with children 5 years old and under.
Yes.
Now, I know, and see, I'm recalling things that we had to do. And even in the church, they started stipulating, if you have this and if you see that, you have to let somebody know. So when you see the child that's got, and maybe you've never experienced this yet, it looks like somebody has not spanked them, but beat them. They got marks on their arms, marks on their body, or even burn marks or something. The state of Michigan, what do you have to do now if this comes up?
For the most part, they leave it up to you to decipher if it's abuse or if it's something more. You are mandated to report. So if it is abuse, you are mandated to report. If you don't, you will lose your license.
Oh
Um,
my, oh
I
my.
try to, because I do understand that kids are very, wild and they play, and there are a lot of different things. I think it's so many things that come into play other than just seeing a bruise and ready to call CPS.
Right.
Because
Yes.
CPS is not always a saving grace as well either. I've heard so many horror stories that if you can try to help, what if it's the mom that wants to get out too but needs help, and you're like, I have some free things that I can give you to help you your child be free before your child is ripped from you, and
My goodness.
but I typically try to go, if I see a bruise, I document in my paperwork how the child comes into my daycare center for my own proof. Because if I do call it in and the parent is like, they got it from daycare, 7:39 when she had this bruise on her kneecap to the right. Like, no, that didn't come from me. But
Wow.
uh I think it's all on one, knowing your family too, and really being in tune. That's where it also comes to really being in tune, because you can pick up on so many things, you know,
Yep.
that's like, oh, that's a little weird, you know.
Yes.
It's more things that come into play. Like I said, siblings are very rough. I
Yes.
grew up with two brothers. We
Oh, wow.
just clapping hands. We were rough.
Yes. I remember one of my experiences. Uh, this was a child, I mean, that was really, really quiet, that never spoke. The child comes over one day, it's like a family of four or something like that, and says, "Hey, my daddy beat up my mom last night." I'm like, "Ooh, this child
Yeah.
has never spoken, and you come out with that." So I'm in a pickle where the dad is preaching. I'm in a pickle. Okay, what do I do? The child just said, "My dad beat up my mom." So, Me'Ara, do children come in and say things to you and you're like, what do I do with this information? Do I
Um,
teach, pretend I didn't hear it, or what?
it I actually had an example a week ago. One of my kids came in and told me that they live in a crack house.
Oh, the child said that.
Yes, they were like, Miss Mimi, I live in a crack house. So I let the parent know. I said, so, I was told that you live in a crack house. And then the mom cracked up laughing and said, I have a hole in my wall and it cracked. And
Oh my goodness.
so the child was going around saying they live in a crack house because the wall had a crack in it. So, it's certain things like that you have to take. I also had another kid who told me their mom threw their phone at them.
Okay.
And I said, I was like, what do you mean throw the phone? And then the more they started talking, the mom threw the phone, like to toss them the phone, and it hit them while she was tossing it. It
Oh
was
my goodness.
anger. And yes, and because of the age group I'm in, you can't just run off the rails with
That's right.
mouth.
Oh,
You have to really talk to them and see what's really going on, and see if the story changes, because oftentimes it does too.
okay. True. We have here in the chat Terasa Talbert there in Ohio. God bless you. This is a calling to be able to do this work. My 4-year-old grandson has grew my patience to no end this past 2 weeks. Lord help me. So we got a call for prayer right there. And I say working with children, this is the greatest work,
Yes.
because you said, I asked Me'Ara, for those who came in a little bit late, I said, Me'Ara, do you ever feel tired, like I'm not going to be able to go on? She said, yeah, every day. But then she can talk to her God and get that strength and be able to get up and go another day. And this is how really all work that's worth doing. Yeah. So we are applauding you, Me'Ara. We want you to keep going. Please know your limits, but this is definitely ministry. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Mm-mm-mm. Wow. So when your husband knew this was the work you wanted to do, not work for somebody else, but start your own childcare, was he excited or like, oh boy?
I think a little bit of both. I
Okay.
It was the minute I said this is what I was thinking about doing after the parents came to me crying. Um,
Uh-huh.
the first thing that came out of his mouth was go for it.
Okay.
Because he knows my passion. I worked 12-hour shifts at the daycare almost every day, being the manager. So he knew that's where my heart's passion was. And I talk about the kids all day like they were ours.
Yes.
So, and not just the kids in my classroom, all the kids. So he
Right.
most of our end of day conversations would be like, and who was Jeremy again? Like that was a lot of it. And I think a lot of it also comes to it's in our home. So
Okay.
you have
Yes.
to mentally prepare for it's in our home.
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, you can't just do anything that you normally would do. You might come home from work and think you're gonna take a nap, and you thought wrong, because all the kids are still up and moving and jumping and excited, and yeah. So but he was my biggest cheerleader, and I appreciate that. He,
Oh, he's been such a blessing. We just appreciate him.
when he's here, he'll help with lunch. All the kids love him, even though I'm changing diapers all day, wiping noses and stuff. You know,
Uh-huh.
they all call him Uncle Stan. So
Oh, that's wonderful. He's been such a blessing for us to get to know him a little bit better. So who's responsible for what the children eat? Does this come from you or does it come from the parents?
me, I make the menu and I serve the menu.
Okay. Do you move more toward healthy food or cheap food? And I'm serious, I'm asking for a reason.
Both.
Okay.
It
Wow.
depends. If I have to be honest, as I told all my parents, there are some days we're human where, today I will watch your kid, but I'm gonna make sure they're alive and healthy. We're not really gonna do any curriculum today. Today I need, I'm tired, I didn't get much sleep, or my cycle's on, and they're all been pretty understanding. So those days we get chicken nuggets. Um, Other days I do cook full meals, and I mean full course meals because that's also my dinner.
Okay. Mm.
So we do like rice, veggies, and fruits is served with every lunch, so they don't go a day without that. Do they eat them? No, but it is served at every lunch.
Okay. If you have the picky child who, I don't like that, I don't want that, what do you do if that child, you cannot get them to eat?
It is in my contract. I am a picky eater. Okay,
We
and
know this. Go ahead.
I have been told so many times to grow out of it. To grow out of it. I
Uh-huh.
have. um. So it is in my contract that because I post my menu. If you know your child doesn't eat what is being served, it is on you to bring your child something else to eat. So
Okay.
I do not
Mm.
want children to eat because again, I'm a picky eater myself. But
Mhm.
there is a difference between I don't eat this and I don't want that.
Okay.
We
Mm.
have kids who, well, no, I want the chicken nuggets today. Well, I'm sorry, little Daniel, you're not going to get the chicken nuggets today. And I know you're hungry, so eat those. And then they will eat them. And then you have some who were like me. If you tell them you're not getting up until you eat, they're going to really sit there until 3 days later. And
Uh-huh.
those you don't force to eat. I have a talk with the parents and I say, hey, I'm going to need you to bring something to substitute when they don't eat what is being served this day because
Okay.
they're going to get real dizzy a little later if they're not eating.
They're gonna be real hungry. When Me'Ara got to a certain point and she was saying, I don't want fried chicken. I was like, where did she come from? What happened?
It's the skin.
I was thinking, what happened? This
I'll
is
eat
not
chicken,
possible.
but I can't do the skin. But I've
Yeah.
evolved. I'll eat Stan's chicken and I ate
Uh-huh.
Novella's chicken. May she rest in peace.
Yes. Yes. Me'Ara's grandmother on the in Michigan, she passed, and that service was just what, 2 or 3 weeks ago, wasn't it?
March 1st.
March 1st. My goodness. We salute her. She actually came to our church a few times. We thank God for the blessing that she was to all of you all. Wonderful. Mm-mm-mm. Wow. So, can a parent dictate what you do there? And have you all noticed Me'Ara has said, my contract, my contract, my contract?
And
I'm starting to believe a heart for the children and a contract are the two biggest things that you need.
um,
Wow.
can they dictate? No.
Okay.
Can they? Can they? No.
So if a child is to say, you've been praying with my child, and my child has been telling me things you said about God, and we don't believe in God, I don't want you to pray for my child anymore.
In my contract, it states that I believe in God and I will not force my belief on others, but I will not hide mine. So
Okay.
when you sign that paper, that means you understand that I'm not hiding mine. And if
Okay.
it doesn't align with you, then that was your fault, your bad. You signed the paper. So you got to
Okay.
pay your tuition for the rest of the week. And then I have in my contract it also states you got to give me a 2-week notice if you want to pull little Johnny. So you still got to pay for 2 weeks. For 2 more weeks and then they can go.
Okay. Me'Ara, you just don't know, or maybe you do. This is saving you so much. We've been there, we've been through it. And trying to get a parent to see when you had your child in here hogging up this time and were refusing to pay for weeks, we
Mm-hmm.
could have moved on. It wasn't about the money, just that, but it took money for us to pay for where we were, all of those utilities that are used, all the food, everything took money. So you kept us from being able to reach out and put somebody else there by having your child here and
Yeah.
refusing to pay. Okay. Oh, I'm so glad that you're doing this. Wonderful. You all should have been here to hear Me'Ara say what her future dream is for childcare. I would be so appreciative of somebody having um, the drive, the passion, and even dreaming about what more they can do. How can they do it bigger and how can they do it better? Instead of somebody who watches my child absolutely resents children. See, this is what happens in the education system in school now. You got teachers who start off right, but they end up, it seems like they don't like kids, they don't like parents, they don't like working. And before they get that burned out, I wish they would do something else. And so, you having this kind of drive, the love for the kids, love for what you're doing, you actually rejoice when you see them progress. I've seen you work with the child, getting them to have manners. We've seen you do it. So I would feel so good with that. And I know most parents would. Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, this has been an absolutely wonderful interview so far. 17 have been here, 10 are on right now. Thank you all for being with us. If there's any question that you have about childcare, put it in the chat right now. Any question you have about anything along that line, we will be more than happy to hand it over to Me'Ara. Wonderful, wonderful. So, Me'Ara, we're going to have you to pray for parents and children in just a moment. But I'm going to give them time if they have a question or a comment. People are saying kids are amazing. Enjoying, your grandfather said, I'm enjoying this show. What a great interview, granddaughter. Oh, that's wonderful.
Thanks, Papa.
He has your heart and you have his. Praise God. All right, Me'Ara, we're going to get ready to bring this to a close. We could talk to you all day long. We're going to have you back and talk to you about one of the other things you've been supposing to be teaching me for a long time. Me'Ara is supposed to teach me how to put my makeup on right. Me'Ara is supposed to teach me how to do my eyes. Me'Ara is supposed to teach me how to put on false eyelashes. She can do
Working,
hair.
working
Pardon me?
childcare. I don't do none of that no more. Okay.
None of it.
I do Carmex. See, and my that's all I could get through in the morning now. Like when by the end of the day, you're through. Okay, you make sure your face is washed real good, and you throw on some lashes and some Carmex, and we be blessed.
That's it, just Carmex. Okay, Carmex. Okay. You see how your life changes with children?
Yes, yes.
I remember your mother, who always liked fashion. She liked jewelry and all those different things. She said, having three children back to back, she said, you're lucky if you can make it to church and through church and still have clean clothes on. Because when you TT'd on, poo pooed on, threw up on, yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Wonderful.
So
Wonderful. Mm-mm-mm. Do you have more boys than girls in the daycare center?
yes, unfortunately, I'm trying to get my girls up, but yes, it's boy town.
You know, I only had three granddaughters and three daughters of my own, and then grandsons started coming along. But Me'Ara, is there really a difference between boys and girls when they're this young and you're training them to do certain things? Is there?
Yes and no, but I think that also goes on the parents. Like
Okay.
me, there is no difference. But when
Okay.
they first come, you can see where the difference was learned. For example, if I tell a parent that their son was wrestling, they were roughhousing, it's okay. And if it's their son, it's their son.
Okay.
Their daughters, I have more moms who get more strict with their daughters on doing certain things. So when they're with me, you don't really see a difference, but when they first come, you can see the difference from being taught with home, which I said falls on the parents.
Okay. You know, Me'Ara, I remember my mother always was sitting for other people's children. And I remember, I don't know if you've ever dealt with a biter, a child that bites people and a
Yes.
child that bites things.
Yes.
Oh my God. And so my mother was sitting for a very professional woman, but her child would bite. He was biting people, and then he started biting all of the furniture in the house. He was eating up the chairs.
Hmm.
So, um, what do you do to help a bite? I mean, of course, you're telling the child not to bite. Is there something you can do to stop a child from biting? And don't say bite them back. That's the answer we're not supposed to say out loud. Go ahead.
One of I've actually had two biters, both
Wow.
diagnosed with autism.
Okay.
Um, those made it a little bit more difficult because one of my babies, she was severely on the spectrum.
Oh.
And biting was how she showed she was unhappy with what you said or did. And she
Oh.
bit people and things. And I was in a center at that time.
Okay.
With her, we had to end up terminating when it became detrimental to other children. If it was more of furniture, then we would ask mom to please bring other things that she can bite on for sensory needs. They have all type of teethers for autistic children now for
Okay.
that for stimulation. But when it gets to the point where other children are getting bit, then yes, because those babies like that need a one-on-one caregiver that can be more with them and dedicated toward them during those times. So when they are overwhelmed and overstimulated and unhappy, they can either be removed or separated to calm down and then be re-intervened. When you don't have the option to pull a child away to dedicate to their needs to calm them down, it takes away from the group itself as a whole, and it teaches the other kids. It's kind of hard to teach 5-year-olds and on down why they get put in timeout for biting, but this one has to get a conversation or coach.
Oh.
So
Okay.
that's really hard for 3 and 4-year-olds to understand because all they see is why am I in the chair and this one just has to go in the hallway to breathe, you know.
Wow.
When,
Wow.
and then no parent wants to pick their child up with bite marks every day. So, you know, and even when you tell some parents, oh well, it's this the child was autistic, they don't care. They feel,
Wow.
but where were you to where you let it happen? And sometimes, you know, if you have children, even if you don't, you watch them, things can happen in the blink of an eye, even when you're sitting there watching. Um,
Right.
so I always try to tell parents as well, if it can happen in your care, then you know, think like that. If it's something you know wouldn't absolutely happen in your care, then okay. But if it's something that you know, if you were watching the children, it could happen, then let's have a little more compassion and work it out. But if it's a continual thing and it's biting, then yes, we would have to terminate because then it's just not fair. It doesn't create a safe environment for anybody else as well either.
Wow. Me'Ara, I was going to ask you, when we were really young and going to school, teachers were allowed to paddle a child, rap a child on the hand, and spank. And then we know it graduated because teachers got out of pocket
Mm-hmm.
and couldn't be trusted. We know it graduated to they wanted you to put children in time out. Now, I don't know what they're allowing right now for discipline. Does timeout still work, or do you have to actually call a parent
When I was
if,
at
when
center,
children are fighting or hitting another child?
when I was in a center, we weren't even allowed to use the term timeout anymore.
Oh,
It
wow.
it was considered too aggressive, so we had to use safe spot. We had to put the children in the safe spot.
Oh, my goodness.
Um, uh, when you have teachers who see things a lot differently than what they're trying to bring on now, it makes it harder. Um,
Okay.
because you know, me personally, I've never really had to get to the point to where I've had to put my hands on the child. Luckily,
Right.
I've been blessed to have been able to give the mama look and talk between my teeth, and we've been okay. Um,
Yes.
and but I think that also comes with you building the trust and the boundaries between the children early on, to when they know when you give them that look, that you hey, calm it down. Um,
Okay.
if it gets too much, I just call the parent. And
Okay.
when they say, "Oh, I can't leave work, I can't keep missing days," well, I need you to talk to little Timmy when you at home and let him know that. Because here you go, I don't get paid enough to get beat on, or hit on, or cussed uh,
Yes.
all day.
And that's very unsafe if you got the quiet little child and
Yeah.
then the one who comes in that feels like they should be hitting on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's not safe for the other little child, you
Yeah.
know. Wow. So much to look at. Oh my goodness. It's quite a responsibility, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when it's more than one. Because, like I said, they all have their all personalities. I have a jumper. I have someone who likes to roll everywhere. The one that takes off running. You know, we have it's moving parts all day. So when people think you're at home, oh, you're just sitting down watching them. I'm rarely ever sitting down. Actually, like
Yes.
I hear them fighting. They're quiet, and when they're quiet, you move. You know, so it's you're constantly your head is on a swivel,
Hmm.
constantly.
Wow. You got to be on watch all the time. Watch and pray. I say again, watch and pray. Amen.
And drink
One of
water,
my, yes, one of
hydrate.
my best friends that I've been friends with for over 50 years, she started the child care center in our home. And she said it seemed like we lost our house because, um, when the kids finally leave, and sometimes, of course, they would be leaving later than what they said they would come and pick up the children. That's the whole reason that we started a child care center there in Michigan called Milk and Honey. But she said it was like you kind of no longer had a house because certain things that they had at first, okay, the furniture, the floor space, all these different things changed. So does it feel like you don't have a house during the day?
No.
Okay.
For me, it's because I dedicated certain spots for just the center and just
Uh-huh.
for my kids to be able to play and interact with and do. So we have, and I'm constantly cleaning and moving things around and doing stuff. So my house is never, because it's a safety hazard as well if everything's
True.
over the floor. So
Yes.
Um, no, and if there's a point where I need to do the dishes, I put everybody in the playroom and they're all locked up. So my living room is not even touched. I have gates everywhere all over my house, so you can't go nowhere to tell you to go. So if I need this place to stay neat and untouched, or if I have something in there that's you're not supposed to be around or touch, then it's fine. I have gates literally everywhere.
But Me'Ara, that is you. You are such a disciplined person yourself.
Yes.
That's because you're good at that, right? Because I would be thinking if I got those roamers who, the roamer who wants to roam in every room, oh my God, where are they? Go catch them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but I have my 1 year old, and she's my quiet, sneaky one. And whenever I don't hear her, I'm always like, oh, okay, good, you're right here beside me. Yeah, I do have to check constantly for that one because she's also a climber, and she smiles so pretty because she knows it's, oh, you're not gonna get me in trouble if I smile. So,
Yes,
you
she
know,
knows what she's doing.
yes.
Wow. Me'Ara, this has been so wonderful. I'm just extremely proud of you. We all are. The people in the chat, they are proud of you. I'm thinking about when this goes online live, even after it's edited, and it's going to live on YouTube forever. And with saying that, please, if you're not subscribed to the New Covenant channel, where we have interviews of professional people, if there's interviews that you all want to see, interviews that you want to hear, or be a part of, you have to contact us and let us know. We're constantly looking for things that will help us in our communities. This is New Covenant Community Connect Live Show, you see. And so we are up to doing things. Yes, we preach and we teach all the time at New Covenant Church, but we're up to doing things that will benefit our community in so many different ways. We've had the best of all different professions come and speak to us and speak with us. So you make sure that you let us know. Me'Ara, please take a moment and pray for parents, children, and other child care professionals before we go. Thank you, Me'Ara. I love you today. I love you forever. And you just know that. And if you weren't here to hear it, her name is, one more time, Me'Ara Bernadette. Yes, you heard it. Faith Hussey. Okay, Me'Ara, pray for everybody before we go.
Father God, I come before you now, boldly asking that you continue to create peace and tranquility for all the parents that are stressed and worn out and don't know what else to do. Uh,
Mm,
Parents who are on their last leg and are afraid and don't know what's left. Please help all the children who are just trying to make it through the next day because they don't understand what's
yes.
households who don't understand why mom and dad are not okay today, but okay tomorrow, and in confusion. Please continue to wrap everybody with your warm arms and send your minister angels down to watch
Yes.
over and help
Yes, Lord.
everybody who needs it, including myself. Please continue to let people know and send encouragement that the burnout does not last all, that it does come out of ashes. Please continue to let everyone know and believe in you that it is not done, that when there are hard times does not mean quit. It means continue and keep pushing and to keep praying. It doesn't mean to question you. It means we need to build and believe in you even more, even stronger. Please continue
Yes.
to let everyone know that what's happening in the world does not mean that's what's happening within us. We can help and make this world a better place with one hug, one love, one cherished memory at a time. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Oh, that was wonderful. It makes me want to sing. If you want the world to be a better place to live in. But I'll stop right there. You know what? This has been wonderful, and we're going to say our goodbyes, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us. Continue doing that. Me'Ara, we look forward to seeing you in just a few days. Hugs, hugs, and more hugs. All right? Good
Bye.
night, everybody. Bye bye.